Did the cookies make him do that? Oh, okay. This is like the Cookie Monster. He's like the Cookie Monster. Anyway, we're gonna talk about him tonight. Yeah, he needs to come back. All right, let's launch into this, everyone. Welcome to our midweek recharge. And by the way, this is an 11. Welcome to our midweek recharge, and it's a time of prayer, fellowship. That's why we take time and we talk in the beginning. Spirit, I like Northwood because we like to talk in the beginning. Toledo first, they don't like talking to me in the beginning. They're just like get on with it, we get to talk, so that's always a good spiritual teaching and discussion as well. So we all know how the drill goes. And our topic that we've been learning is how to build a strong spiritual immune system. Ed, what part am I on right now?
I think might be number 9, is it?
Is number 9?
Could be. I've lost track of the.
Oh, Ed,
I know. Number 8 or 9.
You lose track. I depend on you to keep track, man. Right. The number they said the number guy lost the numbers.
Number 9, yeah, exactly.
And you already know who said that.
Probably the baby brother.
Yeah, you got it. Bingo. He said probably the brother. Yeah. I always like how he calls you the brother. It's never Gary, He has to make that clear, huh? Yeah. Ed, we'll pray for you. Anyway, so we're in part 9, and this is going to pretty much come to a close by the end of the month, and we'll let you all know maybe next week how we're going to be proceeding forward from there. So, is everyone ready to launch into this evening's? Let's do it. So what we've been talking about so far, I think Cheryl and Kevin, you two are, and Rhonda too, and JC, the 4 of you guys kind of missed last week's. So I'm going to try and review it really fast so I can, because if you didn't catch last week, you pretty much won't catch this week. So, you caught them up? Bill, he's supposed to be looking out for you. Yeah. All right, anyway. All right, let's get into it. I'm just laughing too much today. I need to get serious. All right, so we've talked about how frequency and consistency is essential to spiritual success. We've talked about this at length. Then last week, we talked about how to be frequent and consistent in spiritual life, it's a pyramid. First and foremost, it requires conviction. Remember, we talked about this at length. This was really powerful. We had a long talk. We talked 2 lessons on this, actually. So we talked about it for a while. And we talked about how intentionality is the next step, for consistency. And we really made an important point last week, that every time people are talking about how to be more consistent in stuff, we always start with intentionality. And that's the wrong place. Because you can be as intentional as you want. If there's no conviction, that intentionality is going to wear off, right? And so that's what we talked about last week. Then there's a third part to that pyramid, which I won't reveal until 2 weeks from now. So we just got to keep on coming. So with that being said, with the topic of intentionality, we started talking about habits, right? And we were talking about how to form effective habits and how to break ineffective habits. The question that we were asking is, maybe Gary, if you could read that question for us. So the answer to that question is pretty much what we saw right here, intentionality. Now, of course, if the answer is intentionality, the question is, what does intentionality look like, right? How do we form and keep and stay consistent with effective habits? So this is going to be an important conversation. So Rhonda, why don't you help us with that statement on the screen, please? So this is the big thing we talked about last week, right? I think Gary could rattle it off for us. So Gary, how does it start off with? What's the first thing? Starts off with a cue, right? The habit starts with some sort of cue. Some sort of thing triggers for you to engage in the process of practicing that habit. There's a cue. Then, now I'm gonna come to that, make it obvious, make it obscure. I'll come to it later. Then after the, oh, wow. Let me not steal your thunder. Come on, Gary. All right, so after the cue, it produces, Gary said it, a craving, right? So, okay, all right, sounds good. Now, Kevin, I wore you out last week. You weren't here, so I talked behind your back the whole time. The example I used last week was a person eating cookies. Now, I promise, Kevin, I promise, I made this presentation 2 years ago. And I didn't even change it. It's the same exact example I had 2 years ago. So, that's, you see? So blame God, don't blame me. That's all I'm trying to say. Anyway, so craving. Then after the craving, Gary, does anyone remember number 3? What number 3 was? After the craving, it's an R. Nope, that's the 4th one. Nope. Does anyone remember? There you go. So, yeah, rewards last. So you get a cue. The cue produces a craving. The craving produces a response, right? So I see the cookie, that's the cue. I crave the cookie, that's the desire. Then I choose to eat the cookie. Yeah, that's the response. And then after I eat the cookie, look at John said life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. All right. So you get the reward, right? That's how it works. So what we talked about last week is that to form an effective habit, make effective habits obvious, make ineffective habits obscure. Is everyone following? To form an effective habit, make the effective habit attractive, make the ineffective habit unattractive. Make the effective habit easy to do, make the ineffective habit harder to do. Make the effective habit satisfying, make the ineffective habit dissatisfying. Everybody remembers this? All right, sounds good. So in summary, for the 4 who missed, this is what we pretty much talked about last week. Of course, I talked about it in deeper detail, but anyway, with that being said, today what I'm trying to cover is I'm gonna go deeper into 1 and 2. Next week, I'll go deeper into 3 and 4. And then after that, we'll be pretty much reaching the end of our spiritual immune system series. All right, is everyone ready for this? Strap the seatbelts on, let's get it. So today is just practical stuff, honestly speaking. Until now, a lot of it was theory. Now it's just practicals that I'm throwing out. So let's talk about it. How do we form an effective habit? The first thing is a cue, make it obvious. Now I'm gonna put up a statement on the screen, and this statement, I want you to just digest it real quick. John, why don't you read this statement for everybody, please? James Clear says, people who have the most self-control rarely have to use self-control. Where is he getting at with this statement? Oh, you about to take notes on the tithe envelope? What do you guys think? Put that statement on the screen. It's one of those thinking sentences. People who have the most self-control rarely have to use self-control. Okay. Second nature to them, yeah? What'd you say? If they have it, they don't need it. If they need it, they don't have it. All right, yeah, I get what you're saying. Gavin looks very pensive, like you're pondering it. Oh man, yeah, I used to do that when I was in class all the time. You just look like you're really paying attention. It is a very deep thought. Well, here's where we're going with it. The point is, people who have the most self-control rarely have to use self-control because they don't put themselves in positions They don't put themselves in positions where they don't put themselves in positions where they constantly have to tap into self-control. In other words, what they do is that they leverage the power of, what's that word, everybody? Environments. They leverage the power of environments. Here is a very powerful point I'm going to make right now. Since physical signals, that is cues, in your environment trigger your cravings, then to be spiritually successful, this is a really deep thought. To be spiritually successful, you have to become a spiritual interior designer. Because you need to design your environments in such a way where in your physical environment, you make your good habits obvious and you make your bad habits obscure. Do you know how important designing physical space is? Think about something. When God is making the sanctuary, why is he so specific as to how he wants every object to be designed? Have you ever thought of that before? He wants something placed here, and something placed there, and something placed there, because each and every part of the sanctuary talks about Jesus Christ, by the way. Every part of the sanctuary, even the spacing of the sanctuary. But he designed that environment because through the design of the sanctuary environment, he was teaching the process of salvation. So he literally designs environment to facilitate better worship. It's deep. Now, let's put it to a practical example. Maybe y'all have seen it before, but I ain't never seen it before. I ain't never walked into no Macy's, Forever 21, H&M, Dillard's, JCPenney, whatever the case may be. Clothing store, department stores, clothing one. Where if I go through the main entrance, the first thing I'm seeing is men's clothing. I ain't never done it. Now, now, Gary Swackhammer told me last night that somewhere in Florida, Macy's, it's men's stuff first. I almost dropped because I had never seen that before. I said, that Macy's about to go out of business. I ain't never seen that a day in my life. When you walk inside a department store, primarily, what's the main clothes you're seeing, everybody? And which one are you seeing more in abundance, the men's or the women's? Huh? Hands down, women's, every single time. But why is that? Because every store designs their physical environment to maximize their personal profit. You see, I don't have a wife yet. You have a wife. Clearance, huh? Yeah. You see, why is that? Because they're designing the environment for maximum profit. And what I'm trying to say is design your physical environment for your maximum spiritual profit. Have you ever noticed, Rhonda, in those stores, when you're getting to the cashier line, you done got enough of it already. But all the stuff you already have enough of, they have it right there, lining up. So you walk into that line, they got all them little socks that you already know you got so much of. But you could just, and they say that it's always a deal, by the way, on those things. It's $8, but now it's $3. Come on, somebody. Yeah. And so all the little socks and all the little, the ones that Liz likes to buy, Liz, she always braids her hair sometimes. So she always gets them little scrunchies, those all the little scrunchies. I said, you don't got enough scrunchies. Oh, it don't matter. It's all right. And so right before she goes, what you doing, everybody? And that's what Steve Jobs calls the no impulse the impulse purchase. Because no, not the impulse purchase, the no-brainer purchase. Because it's such a small price. And in your mind, you're like, what's $3? That you're just what, everybody? Tacking it on. But why does the store do that? Because they designed the physical space for maximum what, everybody? Profit. Even at Walmart. Right when you get to the cashier line. That's Kevin's favorite place. The Hershey is there. Come on. I'm messing with you. Yeah, come on. For me, I used to be a really big gum guy. So like that was like a huge business I had when I was like in middle school. I mean, I don't know what it worked though. I used to sell a stick of gum. You know, the whole thing is like $1. I was able to sell every small stick for $1. I mean, I was really making bank out there. You know, each. Yeah, I was really good. I was a good. You see, God delivered me. If God ain't delivered me, I'll be a greasy salesman, you know, out there just wrangling everybody out of their money. I mean, really, God really saved me. And so, you know, but you're walking towards that, and everybody knows what's there. It's them little gums, the little Hershey's, the little Trident, and you know what's always there too? The little fridge. You know, the little fridge where a Coca-Cola bottle you could get. You know, you know, you're real thirsty. You already done bought the Coca-Cola bottle, and you put it in your cart, but it's not cold enough. You see, it ain't cold enough. So they make sure that the cold one for the same. Come on, guys, right? You're designing the physical space for maximum business profit. And what I'm trying to argue tonight is literally design your personal spaces for your best spiritual profit. Is that making sense today? Yeah. Let me give you examples how, right? Obvious. Make good habits, and I'm going to just be directly applying it to Bible study. That's what I'm going to be directly applying it to. Only one time will I apply it to prayer. Keep your Bible next to your bed. Design your physical space that way, so that when you wake up in the morning, that's the first thing you're seeing. This is something I told Alex. Keep it open on the dinner table. When it's open, it's a consistent invitation for you. When it's closed, it is a closed invitation. Keep it open on the dinner table. Carry a pocket Bible with you. There's a friend of mine, and he posted a picture of his son on Facebook 2 days ago. And this is the caption that he wrote. He said, "This right here warmed my heart. Joel, our youngest son, is sitting," well, it's supposed to say sitting. I wrote it as he typed it. "Is sitting next to me during this flight. I looked his way to see what he was doing. Take a guess." That's right. That's a pocket Bible he carries with him when he's traveling. The young boy, not even 18, has designed his own personal space for his maximum spiritual profit. He keeps the Bible with him. Is everyone following along with that? Because the plane has other plans for him. Look, you see what that plane has in front? See, the planes know what they're doing. You see the magazines? Yeah, it's for them that credit card they're trying to get you to sign up for when you're on that flight. Huh? They have the catalogs in there. Yeah, so that you could just be charging it on your credit card. And you know, they're smart sometimes too. They could just charge it on the credit card you use to pay for the flight with. You see? So now you don't even got to pull it out your pocket. It becomes easier to make the purchase, right? But he's designed his own physical space for his maximum spiritual benefit. Write a verse on an index card. Keep in your pocket. Kathy Kapis was on the Zoom line, and she brought a good point. She said, you know, Pastor Kojo, ever since you've been teaching these lessons, she says, what I have done now is I have Post-it notes that I've written, and now, she says, I put them on my mirror. Huh? I put them on my mirror so that when I wake up in the morning and I read each one reminds me to practice some aspect of spiritual life. Redesign your environment to make the positive habit obvious. This is making sense, everybody? But at the same time, redesign the environment to make the negative habit obscure, right? So one thing my father always tells me is that when he wakes up in the Bible, he does not read. When he wakes up in the morning, he does not read his Bible first. Instead, the first thing he does is that he washes his face so that he can be awake. Why? Because sometimes when you wake up in that morning, unless you got to run off for work, that bed just feels a little too good. Come on, Rhonda, let's testify. You know? Come on, Rhonda. Then Rhonda, this is how we try to do it sometimes, right? We got the Bible and the lesson like this. You're reading it like this. Sure. 2 minutes later, the Bible. Come on, y'all, testify. The Bible like this. You done wake up. You done creased up your Bible. Now you're trying to smooth it out. Come on, y'all. Tell me I'm lying. We're just keeping it real over here. We all done it. I'm the worst. I'm the biggest offender. Come on, y'all. I ain't above nobody. Do I got a witness in here, somebody? Right? So, so that's what we do. And so my dad always says, the bed itself can obstruct you. So if you want to be focused, redesign your environment. Get up, wash your face, be awake. Jebba Moses in Cincinnati, he ensures that he gets up from his bed and goes to his dinner table, his dining room table. That way, the bed doesn't just suck him back in. Especially some of y'all that got them beds, them NASA beds, man. Them beds that just, you sink in. Like in Liz's parents' house in Michigan, she has a couch. That couch just sucks. You get lost in the couch, Some of you got beds like that. You get lost in the bed. And what I'm trying to say is you've got to redesign your environment if you're going to succeed spiritually. Keep your TV out of your room. Maybe this doesn't apply to you guys, but my generation, it applies big time. Keep the TV out, because if you want to design your spiritual environment, or your environment for maximum spiritual profit, it ain't gonna help you. Switch off. Now, of course, these are just recommendations, right? These are just guidelines. These are not hard rules. These are not the 10 Commandments. These are just suggestions. I just want to clarify that. I don't want to be dogmatic. Of course, someone can have a TV in their room and it doesn't distract them at all. They never even switch it on. So again, don't take these dogmatically. Take them as recommendations. Switch off the phone before you sleep if that's your struggle, right? Switch it off. Because, I always say, Bill, I had a professor. He's actually going to come here in July. He's going to teach a family life class. And I took a class from him on counseling. You know the first thing he said? He said, all of us are addicts. That's how he starts the class. He said, all of us are addicts. You said what? Yeah. You don't need to be on drugs and alcohol to be an addict. Some folks, their hands start burning literally if they don't reach for this phone. Come on, somebody, right? And sometimes that gets in the way of spiritual development. Use an alarm clock instead of your phone to wake up. Put the phone on airplane mode. If you like to study with your phone or you like to study with your iPad, let me tell you something my brother did. My brother, because he would get so distracted, like me, like today, my phone would not stop going off today. From a text, from a call, from an issue, from a problem. You see what I'm saying, everybody? So, Rhonda, I'm trying to do the right thing and just spend time with my Jesus Christ. And every second, ding, and a boom, and a ding, and a Facebook ding, and WhatsApp ding, and messages ding. And I said, Lord, I can't catch a break. So what I started doing is that you put the phone on what, everybody? Well, now no dings, no notifications. Actually, I turned off notifications on my phone. So I can just focus. Got to redesign your environment. Very important. Now, why is it important to, let's get into some Bible before we do this. Why don't we go to Matthew 5, everybody? Is this making sense so far, though? Yeah? It was a practical lesson today. So, Rhonda, ain't no rhymes today. Yeah. Rhonda is looking for her rhymes. No rhymes. Today is just straight practicals. Okay, I'll probably give you a little something on this one. Matthew 5, 30, 20, it's definitely not the 30. $29. Can someone help us out with that one? Matthew 5, 29. Anybody? Yes, please. 29 and 30. 30. Strong language, huh? So obvious. So so well, we're all mature here. Church father called Origen. He looked this up. Origen. He had a problem with lust, so he read this passage. Took it real literally, Gary. He cut off. he had his stuff removed. Essentially, and he still had a problem with lust. So I'm saying, you lose your stuff, you still have a problem with lust. You lost both ways. You know, it's rough. So obviously, Jesus didn't mean this literally, right, everybody? So what Jesus is doing is that he's using a literary device called hyperbole in order to exaggerate and make a strong point. And the strong point that he's making is what we call the law of the trade-offs. And the law of the trade-offs says that in life, you have to give up in order to grow up. You've got to give up in order to grow up. Sometimes you have to give up in order to grow up. Or said differently, sometimes you have to be willing to pay the price in order to win the prize. I gave you 2, Rhonda. All right. I gave you 2. You got to pay the price to win the prize. Or said differently, sometimes you have to pay the cost to gain the crown. Is everyone following? Now, why do I mention this? Because when you're redesigning your environment and you're making the ineffective habits obscure, sometimes there's a cost to pay. You're going to give something up. I'll give you a perfect example. I'm going to share this one because Kathy shared it in public. So again, we were on the line, Kathy Kafis. She was like, you know, Kojo, when we started doing these lessons, you know, and you told us keep the Bible open, keep it in front of us, so on and so forth. She said, I started doing it. Then she admitted, she said, but it was killing me. Because I'm the kind of person who wants to make sure in my house, everything is what, everybody? Put back. Yeah? That's Shauna, I could tell. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure everything put back. Right? That's what she said. But then she said, if I do that, I'm returning back to old habits. So she said, you know what? I started to think to myself, if a few things being out of place is the cost that I have to pay for the great benefit I'm receiving of being more consistent with God's word, then I'm willing to pay that cost. Is everyone seeing that? That's a perfect example of the law of the trade-off. She gives up her desire of organization so that she can gain the greater desire of intimacy with Christ. My question tonight is, what will you give up in order to grow up? Are we hearing the word tonight? Oh, nobody's saying amen, Gary. Nobody's saying amen, Gary. I'm here by myself, man. That's all right. Jesus is here with me. So, many times, Shauna, this is you, right here. Why you have to laugh, Rhonda? Rhonda, you ain't right. Why you have to laugh? I don't like that, Rhonda. Why you have to laugh, Shauna? This is all of us. Right here. This is our goal, right? And this is what we all want. Linear line to our what, everybody? Our goal. But it don't usually work this way, does it? It more so works like, this is how it usually goes. And the reason why it goes like that is because on the pathway to the goal, we meet what, everybody? Frictions. Now, last night I mentioned this point, and pretty much people debated with me. But after they debated with me and I debated back, they realized I was right. So they shouldn't have debated with me. So what I'm trying to say is I'm about to make a point. Don't debate with me because I'm right. and if you try to debate with me, I'll find 1,000 ways to confirm that I'm right. So you see, Kevin is ready. He likes a good fight. Kevin, just calm the fight down. You won't. This one you won't win. This one is unwinnable for you. All other ones you win. This one you won't win. I know he does. You see, as soon as I said that, he geared up, man. Oh, man. I love you guys. So this is what I said last night, and I stand by it. I firmly believe that if you're going to succeed spiritually, don't just plan for your goals, but also plan for your frictions. Because, well, they're all synonyms. What I'm trying to say is that these are roadblocks, obstacles, things that prevent you from reaching where you're trying to go, right? And so the whole idea is, well, the reason why people argued with me last night is that they said it's not possible for you to know all of your frictions. Granted, that's true, but plan for the frictions you're already aware of. Is everyone understanding what I'm saying? So the point I'm trying to make is this. If you know that one of your frictions is your phone, then when you plan for the goal of engaging in better Bible study, plan for that friction of the phone. Does everyone understand what I'm saying? If you know that your plan is better Bible study, but your friction is that you're constantly getting distracted by the TV, then plan away from the TV. Plan for that friction. You understand what I'm saying? My point I'm making is that people approach their goals very unrealistically. They approach their goals not thinking about the friction. They encounter the friction, then they give up on the goal. And what I'm saying is that you can't, there's no way you can anticipate every friction. But for those clearly known frictions, plan for those. And as you plan for those as well, you increase the chances of reaching the goal. So someone argued with me last night and said, well, how about football? You know, for football, I go, I plan my game plan. I said, no, it's the same thing. If a coach is planning the game plan, the coach can't just plan for the team to hit the touchdown. He had to also plan for who? For the opponent. Make sense, everybody? You got to plan for the opponent. Why do you think after Michael Jordan finished the game, if he's gonna go and play, let me switch this way. If Kobe Bryant is gonna go and play LeBron James, Kobe Bryant just don't prepare for himself. What does Kobe Bryant do the night before? He go watch LeBron James. So that he doesn't just plan for his game, he planned for his what, everybody? His opponent. And what I'm also trying to tell you too is learn how to also plan for your opponent. And often your opponent is that person who is staring at you right in the mirror. It's too quiet in here. Yeah. Yeah. Plan for the friction. Boy, you know, I haven't stopped at any time today for any questions and comments and thoughts and discussions. By the way, everybody knows that you can stop me at any time, right? You just talk. All right. Well, let's keep moving. Now, let's go a little bit deeper. To make an effective habit more obvious, attach it to an existing habit. This is what we call the Diderot effect, or it's called habit stacking. It works on a formula. So the formula that it works on is after current habit, I will practice the new habit. So it's a formula. So for example, here are examples. So the idea is, everybody knows how habits work from brain science perspective. So I'm not a brain scientist, but the little I've read is that it works based on your neurons. And your neurons form what they call pathways, right? We're all aware of that. So that's like, think of yourself like in like a forest where you go hiking. And you know how sometimes there's those hiking trails, right? So because there's the hike, well, I hate hiking, but when I go hiking, But when I go hiking, I'm always looking for what is everybody looking for? You're looking for that trail. Because you're trying to walk on that pathway. You see what I'm saying? So that's how it works in your brain. Your brain forms these pathways for you to walk on. That's why certain habits become so easy, because it's a pathway, right? The neurons. When you want to form a new habit, your brain has to literally create new what? New pathways. But when you go out for hiking, are you trying to create a new pathway? You ain't trying to create your own new pathway, because it's what? It's hard. That's why every time you try to start a habit, it's real hard, because you're trying to literally create a new pathway. And so what habit stacking says is that habit stacking says, if you already have a pathway, find a way to attach the new habit to the old pathway that you already have. Is everyone hearing that? So that in doing so, it won't become 100% easy, but if it's attached to an existing pathway, it becomes a little bit easier. Is everyone understanding what I'm saying? Because the old pathway makes the new habit a little bit more obvious. That's what the Diderot effect is called. So the formula says, after current habit, I'll practice new habit. So for example, after breakfast, current habit. This is something that's a pathway for me. I will read my Bible, right? After exercise, that's a pathway for me. I will pray, right? Attaching. After picking up my son, I will journal. So the idea is that you are attaching the new habit to the current habit, and it increases the chances of it being practiced. Yeah, it's very interesting. So that's a good activity for you all to think about. What are things I already do, and how can I just tack that on? All right, let's move on. Got 7 minutes. Now, the reason why I mentioned something like this, the Diderot effect, is because as you engage, this is just the practical stuff today. As you engage in forming better habits, better spiritual habits, a lot of times people like to rely on willpower. But I always say, don't just rely on willpower. Rely on what, everybody? Wisdom. Don't just work smarter. Don't just work harder. Work smarter. And the Bible encourages this. In Ecclesiastes 10:10, it says, if the axe is dull and its edge unsharpened, more strength is needed, but skill will bring success. Ain't that interesting? If the axe is dull and the edge unsharpened, anybody here cut a tree before? Right, you got to make that. You got to make that. What is that thing? It's not an incision. What is that thing called? Huh? It's called a notch? Yeah. So, yeah, they gave me the name last night. Someone gave me the real name for it. Oh, you look like you cut a couple trees, Gary. Perfect example, actually, Kevin. Perfect example, right? Yeah. Hey. Anyway, let's finish this thing up. So we talked about how to make good habits obvious, bad habits obscure. But you have to also make good habits attractive, bad habits unattractive. So to make good habits attractive, 6 master keys. I'm not going to explain every one of them in depth. I'm just kind of throwing them out, and then we're pretty much done. 6 master keys. Number 1, let me get people to help us read this one, so that we can stay awake for the last 5 minutes. So let's get Bill. Let's get Bill on the chart. Oh, my goodness. I really got jacked up. Let's see. We're going to need that. Okay, you guys, you can't take this out of my time. So for every minute I spend fixing this up, buy me a minute back. It won't look as pretty. You see, I work on this. Yeah, you see. This is a perfect example. I didn't follow my own recommendation. Okay. It won't look as pretty. Yeah, look, all of this got messed up, so hold on. Okay, I've lost a minute, so please give me a minute back. All right. This is Kevin's computer? Oh. Yeah. You saw where I was going. Yeah. Ah, boy. Okay. You guys are the best. All right. Again, it's not as pretty. So the first way to make effective habits, I lost 2 minutes, by the way, so please give me 2 minutes back, is first master key. Bill. So the first thing is to practice a literal mindset shift. And that habit that you want to practice more of, stop seeing it as a burden and start seeing it as an opportunity. That's literally looking at it differently. You see, that's the problem. Most of the things that are good for us, we see them as burdens. Most of the things that are not good for us, we see them as opportunities. And the point I'm trying to make here is flip it. Look at it as an opportunity, not as a burden. Why? Because opportunities are seen as positive, and habits are more attractive when they are associated with what kind of feelings, everybody? Positive. Now, these next points are connected. The mindset shift should lead to a language change. This is key. You see, to reflect this mindset change, change your language. Don't say, I have to. Say, I get to. For example, you see, a lot of times look and say, oh, I have to exercise. I have, you see, you go and feel a sigh coming out. I have to study my Bible. But that's because you're seeing it as a burden. But Rhonda, when you see it as an opportunity, you don't say, I have to study my Bible. What do you say now? I get to. See, that sounds so much different, right? Cheryl, you don't say, oh, I have to study this Bible again. Now you can say, it's an opportunity. So you can say, I'm glad I get to study the Bible again. You see what's going on? Why is this important though, Cheryl? It's because the mindset shift should reflect itself in a language change, but at the same time, as you change your language, it reinforces the mindset. Is everyone following? You see, that's why, as Adventists, we have to be careful how we talk sometimes. All of us are Adventists in here, so I can talk like this. We have to be careful how we talk sometimes. You're like, when a pork is in front of us, oh, I can't eat that. Yeah. You see it really subtly, it's a reflection of the mindset. We're looking at it as a burden. But what's it called? But how about if we change that? Oh no, I choose not to eat that. You see what I'm saying? Or or I'm glad that I don't have to put that in my body. You see what I'm saying? So it's a reflection of what's up here. So changing the language helps to reflect a change of mindset, but changing the language helps to also reinforce the mindset. It loops. Is everyone seeing that? Very important. So this is one of the biggest ways. Start looking at it as opportunities. Now, Rose Cross didn't like the name of this. And I was just trying to explain that. I got it from the book. So the book, is what called it that. But I thought of it. I thought of Rose's cross statement. And I said, you know what? Maybe instead of calling it temptation bundling, we could call it something else. But the point of this is that temptation bundling means to make an effective habit more attractive, attach the new habit to an existing habit you find fun. Right? That's the goal. To an existing habit you find fun. So this is similar, Kevin, to the Diderot effect, where you habit stack, where you attach the new habit to the old one. But this one is simply saying, attach the new one to an old one that you find enjoyable. Is everyone seeing that? So that will help it become more attractive. So for example, I'll give you a perfect example. I don't always like exercise, but I like listening to new music. So you know what I do? I use exercise as a time to find new music. that starts to make the experience enjoyable for me. Actually, I forget I'm exercising sometimes because I'm catching up on what new songs Elevation released and what new songs, Hillsong released. It becomes a whole activity for me. Here's some ideas. Do you like sitting on your lawn chair and relaxing and why are you laughing, Kevin? Yeah. Now, Kevin, if I came here and said that, you could just go out and say liar. I wouldn't even be mad at you if you said liar. Connect Bible study with relaxing on a lawn chair, if that's something you like. If eating food is good, connect Bible study with eating a favorite meal. Connect Bible study. I have a professor who he loved to walk in the park. So that's the time he used to listen to his Bible. He connected it to something fun. I got to finish up. I might tune into that. Variation. Variation helps to make a habit more attractive. Learn how to switch things up so that you don't get into routine. Routines can easily become ruts. Right? That's why even church, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. We shouldn't be having the same kind of worship every single week. You know what I'm saying? We should, I don't know what's up with us Adventists, where we think that, I'm going to hurt some feelings, where we think there's something so holy about this hymnal book right here. Come on, somebody. When these were written, they were cutting edge for their time. Think about what I'm saying. When these were written, they were cutting edge for their time. So we've lost the principle of creating new cutting edge music for our time. That's what we call traditional. They say tradition is the living faith of the dead. Traditionalism is the dead faith of the living. Yeah, I don't want to get struck by lightning. Did you guys wrap your heads on that one? Tradition is the living faith of the dead. But traditionalism is often the dead faith of us, the living. And my question is, why do we always want to hold on to dead faiths? I'm over my time. Sorry, I got good stuff. Let me just give you this one story. There used to be a church where you know what they did? Before everybody got inside of the church, they bowed their head like this and walked into church. Bowed their head like this, walked into the church. That was the tradition. So one time, a new person, that's why it's always important to get new people in the church. They challenge our old traditions. A new person walked in. He says, why everybody bow their head when they walk to church? Everybody said, I don't know. Everybody said, I don't know. Everybody said, I don't know. Until one day, an old member, them old-time members came to the church. And when he came to the church after several years, he said, why everybody just bowing their head down when they go to church? He said, I'll tell you what happened. Back when we first built the church, the entranceway to the church was very low. So everyone literally had to bend their head to enter into the church. Now it's been raised. Why are you guys still bending your head to get into the church? I can work on that for years. I'm going to let that go. Don't we still do that as a church? Huh? I gotta finish. So learn how to vary things, guys. Let's vary the music. Let's vary the prayer. Let's vary the sermon. Let's vary. Vary. V-A-R-Y. Vary. Oh gosh, let me skip all this. Social circle change. I'm gonna skip all this. Let me just get to the last one. I'm way well past my time. I apologize. Last thing is this. If you want to make it attractive, so if you want to note social circle change, we as human beings tend to find habits approved by our social group or people we admire as more attractive. So hang around people who embody the habits you want to practice. We're not going to talk about that. That's self-explanatory. Last one, remind yourself of your convictions. Simply says this, right? Kevin, if I want to, it's not, my why is not just reading the Bible, right? We've talked about that many times. Because the goal of the Bible is not the Bible, right? The goal of the Bible is who? Jesus Christ. Yeah, exactly. and into a relationship with him, right? John 5:39. So my true why is having an intimate connection with Jesus. Everyone follow? Scripture is, we call it instrumental. It's a means to get in there. The point I'm trying to make is this. So even though sometimes reading this word may not be attractive, you know what is attractive to me? My why behind it. You see that? My why behind it, that intimacy, that is attractive to me. I do want that. This immediately, that morning, waking up and reading may not be attractive, but that why is. So in order to do this portion, I've got to reach back and grab my what, everybody? My why. And pull it up to the front. And in reminding myself of my convictions, in reminding myself of my why, it makes this right here just a tad bit more attractive. Is everyone following along? So that I can be able to engage in that habit. That's why I always say, to succeed spiritually, don't just ask God to give you willpower. Ask God to give you why power. Don't just ask Him to give you willpower. Ask Him to give you why power. Let's pray. Lord, thank you for teaching us today how to build better spiritual habits. And my prayer is that we will be able to do so, not on our own. I don't want anyone here, Lord, going home tonight trying to practice these things on their own. We just need to go home tonight and say, Lord, we surrender it to you. And now that you've given us the knowledge, you've given us the tools, you will bring it back to us at the right time so that we can implement it in our lives. Thank you for doing so, dear Lord. In Jesus' name.